Microsoft's venture in motion sensing gaming, Kinect, can seem like little more than a footnote in gaming history, which can seem like an odd statement, especially as current trends in gaming audiences and from developers such as Ubisoft showing an increasing appreciation for virtual reality gaming and technological advancements in general. But the Kinect was particularly unique in its ambition and what it was capable of. Both the Nintendo Wii's nunchucks and the 3DS, though the former much more so, integrated and marketed motion sensing as part of gameplay experiences, but relayed input via devices. The same applies to the PlayStation Move. While the big three pursue other avenues in gaming, with streaming also being another hot topic, let's go ahead and take a look at the Kinect. Initially called Project Natal and revealed at E3 2009, the Kinect is unique. It doesn't function at all like any of Nintendo's motion sensing hardware. Rather, it relies on a camera to detect the movements of players and relays that information to the system itself. Nintendo's motion sensor bars are placed on surfaces so as to receive nunchuck data, much like the Kinect's own camera, but the Kinect relied on gestures from movement detected within a particular space itself. It is a peripheral meant to function in conjunction with another system, such as the 360, using processing power from another piece of hardware. The device, marketed as a gaming peripheral that relied on motion detection via camera, was an idea that Sony would only later visit with the PlayStation 4's PlayStation Camera and did not receive the same dedicated developer attention that the Kinect did. The games themselves were also an important part of what makes the Kinect so special. Some games were Kinect exclusives, including Sonic Freeriders, Kinect Sports 1 and 2, and Rise of Nightmares, and some were developed to be playable with or without Kinect, including Forza 4, Virtua Tennis, Mass Effect 3, and FIFA 13. Anyone else remember the adorable Kinectables from its reveal at E3 2010? A huge part of what makes the Kinect so special was that it received a separate hardware release for Microsoft desktop PCs at the time of Kinect's active run. The Kinect, in its lifetime, was released to be used with three separate pieces of Microsoft hardware: the Xbox 360, the aforementioned PC in 2012, and the Xbox One, which finally marked the conclusion of the Kinect brand. Use with computers was not a part of Nintendo's motion sensing hardware and was not marketed as part of Sony's own peripherals. The Kinect PC, released in 2012, was compatible with Windows 7, and Microsoft intended for it to be used by developers to make a variety of applications. Innovative and distinct in its ambition. In its totality, there is not anything really comparable to the Kinect that other competitors explored. While the previous console generation's narrative in console wars was marked in part by the battle between the HD twins, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, Sony never pursued something as forward as what the Kinect set out to do. The PlayStation Move for the PlayStation 3 required a controller, while the Kinect does not. Sony's iToy for the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 require a certain amount of light to function properly. The Kinect, on the other hand, functions via infrared ray detectors to create a map in front of what is read by its camera. And this, in conjunction with its voice detection technology, was a pioneering combination in both the gaming world and in the broader sense of commercially useful consumer electronics. Additionally, the Kinect was a smart device in its ability to learn and adjust to the movement habits of its users. It really was a first of its kind. Upon first release, the Kinect was generally praised and a commercial success. 10 million units sold within its first 6 months of release is a hard number to argue with. Its sales power was such that bundles of the Xbox 360 sold with the Kinect broke sales records. As early as 2011, the Kinect was responsible for earning Microsoft a Guinness World Record for fastest-selling consumer device, with an average sales rate of 133,333 units per day from November 4th, 2010 and January 3rd, 2011. It should be noted that the 360 released in 2005 and the Kinect first launched in 2010, at which point the 360 was firmly established as a commercially powerful and relevant gaming console. Separately and not legally, the Kinect was used by hackers to control, for interesting effects. Controlling robots, attaching motion sensing abilities to 360 controllers, even helping people use the toilet. Special as it was, the Kinect was not without its operational difficulties. For starters, unlike the more minimal space requirements from the motion sensing peripherals of its competitors, the Kinect for the 360 required slightly more than 6 feet of space in front of the camera in order to function correctly. This was mitigated somewhat by the Xbox One line, which reduced the requirement to about 4.7 feet. The Kinect also needed to be positioned in a just-so manner in order to be able to detect people. Even before its launch, Microsoft touted the ability of the Kinect to register the movements of more than just one person. Yet this didn't prove easy when, for example, two people of notably different heights opt to occupy the same Kinect space. This became an issue such that during the early phases of the Kinect's release for the Xbox 360, a third-party company named Performance Design Products in cooperation with Microsoft manufactured a set of adjustment mounts that allowed for the camera to more properly read the movements of people trying to use it. That partnership continued throughout the lifespan of the Kinect itself, despite the improved version of the Kinect released for the Xbox One. Though not to the point of widespread mainstream notoriety, Kinect has been connected to physical injuries as well. Even a cursory YouTube search for Kinect fails or Kinect accidents yields a surprising amount of results, though unfortunately designed for comedic rather than educational purposes, unlike what you might expect from GamingBolt, of course. As exciting as the world of motion sensing is, concerns about privacy also became prevalent as it was noted that the cameras could also be used for surveillance, to be used for digital rights management purposes, the restriction of software access as specified by publishers to developers. And the microphone for the Kinect is always active. This would become particularly relevant during the pre-release and release phase of the Xbox One. The Xbox One's initial launch included a Kinect sensor with all retail packages. In comparison to its competitors, Microsoft was in fairly good standing with the Xbox 360's conclusion. The Wii U had already been released but was struggling to sell and was not attracting much third-party support, continuing the trend from the end of the Wii's lifespan. The PlayStation 3 was still popular, but received considerable backlash for the development difficulties that its internal infrastructure posed. The PlayStation 4, on the other hand, after their E3 2013 PlayStation 4 conference, enjoyed much fan and industry support, particularly with the announcement that Sony would not restrict used game disc sales. This particular point, along with the Xbox One requiring an internet connection for once-a-day check-in with Microsoft, led to a hobbled start for the new Xbox console. Microsoft later capitulated on both fronts in response to widespread public outcry, allowing games to be played without any DRM requirements and for the Xbox Ones to be operational without daily internet check-ins, though an internet connection is still initially required to set up Xbox Ones. While concerns about using Kinects for surveillance purposes were noted upon first releases of the Kinect for the Xbox 360, and using Kinects for such purposes is possible, those concerns accumulated so much that later Xbox One retail packages did not include the Kinect. A stark pivot from Microsoft's initial E3 2013 stance that required the Kinect to be operational in order for the Xbox One to function, and another idea that was similarly reversed. It should be said that part of what made the Kinect successful during its 360 run is that it was sold paired with Xbox 360 consoles. Separately, the Kinect was priced at $150. With the value proposition of a separately sold Kinect presented again to consumers, along with the earned bad press of the Xbox One after E3 2013 and the earned positive press of the PlayStation 4 after their own E3 2013 conference, the Kinect was basically left in the dust. Games were not often the primary focal point of the Kinect, and major game developers had long since abandoned making games for it. Those who might otherwise be interested in a peripheral outside of gaming purposes would be turned off by the launch price tag of the Xbox One and the accumulating surveillance concerns. The Kinect was left to slowly and quietly die. After a trailblazing run, production on the Kinect for the Xbox One finally ceased, first noted in October of 2015. Still yet, Microsoft continues to support the Kinect on the Xbox One ecosystem, and the Kinect itself remains influential within Microsoft in the form of the HoloLens, which makes use of Kinect's infrared sensor technology, and Microsoft's augmented reality projects. The voice sensing technology from Kinect is also a part of Cortana and Windows Hello. With its technological advancements incorporated into other Microsoft ventures, there is no reason for Microsoft to revive the Kinect brand, certainly not in the near future. As it stands, Microsoft is reportedly more interested in streaming technology if rumors for the Scarlett are any indication. Even as a footnote in history, with 35 million units sold under the brand, the Kinect occupies significant space as something that set an example and realized a technological vision that others had not yet made real themselves. What started as an idea for a popular gaming peripheral took on another life during the successful run of the Xbox 360, but perhaps the Kinect would have succeeded more not existing so prominently as a gaming peripheral, as it had very useful practical applications. Either way, that is what happened to the Kinect. Who knows what technological revolutions will become mainstream in the future gaming consoles. Nevertheless, expect GamingBolt to cover that information. Until next time, bye. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.